I'm Senator John McCain of Arizona, and I'm pleased to be joined today with a bipartisan group of my colleagues, Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois, Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island, Senator John Hoeven of North Dakota, my fellow senator from Arizona, Jeff Flake. I won't forget ever when Senator Murphy and I were here 4 months ago. We stood in the trade union building and watched as hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian patriots stood in the freezing cold and demanded freedom, rule of law, and a European future. We're honored to be here to congratulate you on all that you have accomplished, and all of us join Ukrainian people in mourning more than 100 brave souls who gave their lives for Ukraine's futures. We've met with the President, Prime Minister, government leaders, including the Governor of Donetsk, with leaders from across the political spectrum, including the Party of Regions, and with representatives from Ukraine's business community, civil society, and the Euromaidan movement. We're here to express the strong bipartisan support for Ukraine that exists in the U.S. Congress and among the American people. We are united in our full support for Ukraine's sovereignty, national unity, and territorial integrity, and against Russia's baseless violation of these principles and its efforts to divide this country. We are also deeply concerned about reports today of Russian military movement into areas around eastern Ukraine. These movements are deeply disturbing. The Ukrainian government is legitimate, constitutional, and has an important popular mandate for change. But change won't be easy. It's essential now for the government here to reach out to all Ukrainians and take steps to unify the country. Among these are strengthening democracy, the rule of law, reform the economy and the military, and move Ukraine toward Europe. And we are confident that the government is committed to these principles. The government must also prepare the country for elections on May 25th. During our visit, we have heard overwhelming support for proceeding with elections on schedule, and we believe it's critical. Ukraine's journey will be difficult, but Ukrainians will not make that journey alone. The United States and your other partners will be with you. Many of us here serve on our Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate. And last week, we passed bipartisan legislation to support Ukraine and impose costs on Russia. This legislation provides $1 billion in loan guarantees to support Ukraine's economy. It provides assistance to help Ukraine strengthen democracy, prepare for elections, and enhance security cooperation. It imposes sanctions, severe sanctions, on those responsible for violence and human rights abuses against peaceful Ukrainian and those who threaten Ukrainian stability, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, and on Russian officials responsible for corruption here. We want to assure you the United States Senate will pass this legislation imminently, and we're confident it can soon become law. Finally, let me say a word about military assistance, and this is my personal view. Ukraine is going to need a long-term military assistance program from the United States, equipment both lethal and non-lethal. I see that Ukraine has been invaded. Russia is massing forces on the border, provoking unrest, threatening to annex part of this sovereign nation, and possibly worse. When free peoples and patriots, victims of aggression, wish to defend themselves and their homes from further aggression, and when they ask for some modest means that can help them resist, I believe we should provide it. Not to offer false hope or to harbor it ourselves, but simply it's the right and decent thing to do. I also want to add, there are now thousands of brave Ukrainian members of the military who are surrounded in bases in Crimea. We are very deeply concerned about, after this phony referendum that's going to take place, that the lives and welfare of these individuals could be in danger. We urgently urge the Russians to be restrained and to respect the lives and welfare of these brave Ukrainian servicemen and women who are serving their country. Senator Durbin.
I want to thank my colleague John McCain and others who have joined me. This is an extraordinary visit that we've made to Ukraine. It may be the largest Senate delegation to visit Ukraine in history. And the moment we came, we thought was the right moment. We wanted to say to the people of Ukraine and millions who support Ukraine across the world that we stand shoulder to shoulder with the Ukrainian people who are seeking a new future and a new opportunity. We know that they have a new government with many, many challenges, including economic challenges. And we know that they are committed to the rule of law, to open and free elections. And we stand by them in this commitment. We have met with the President, Prime Minister, and leaders of this government. And the message we have given them is that we will be by your side on a bipartisan basis in the United States Senate. The visit of the Secretary of State John Kerry, the meeting between the Prime Minister and the President just a few days ago are further indications of this strengthening alliance between the United States and Ukraine. But we also come at this moment because we know we are only hours away from this Soviet-style election in Crimea. We know the outcome. We always knew the outcome of those elections long before they took place. Keep in mind that there was also a vote today, just hours ago, in the UN Security Council, where the nations of the world serving in that Security Council were asked to stand with Ukraine and to reject this referendum. Of course, the Russians voted no. The Chinese abstained. All other nations stood with Ukraine and the United States. It is an indication of growing world support for the future of Ukraine and resistance to what the Russians are threatening now in Crimea. We owe it to the people of Ukraine and to those in Crimea to speak up for them at this moment and to tell Russia we will not return to a history of invasion and aggression, which was too common in this part of the world. And we also need to make it clear that when countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, Russia, and Ukraine enter into an agreement, the Budapest Memorandum, that it means something. When a country will step away from its nuclear arsenal, only asking for protection of its territory and its future, we need to stand by them. And that's why we're here as well. We want a more peaceful world, and we believe that standing with Ukraine is the way to achieve that. I'm proud that my colleagues were with me. I hope you understand the significance of our visit to the Ukraine at this moment in history.